You ever love someone so much that you'd give them everything, your time, your trust, your soul, only to find out they were handing their heart to someone else behind your back? This story isn't just about betrayal, it's about how the person you sleep next to every night can become a stranger overnight. I'm Chris, and this story? It hits close to home. We were that couple people envied. You know the type: Sunday morning pancakes, matching hoodies, and a million inside jokes only we understood. Her name was Lauren. Beautiful, sharp, and charming as hell. We met in college. She was studying marketing. I was knee-deep in graphic design and Red Bull. The connection was instant. She made me feel like I was the only man on the planet, and I thought she was the kind of woman you build a future with. So I did. 7 years together, 3 of those married. Our life was simple but fulfilling. We had a small house in Denver, a golden retriever named Duke, and shared Spotify playlists that we'd dance to in the kitchen after long days. She'd laugh at my corny jokes, and I'd kiss her forehead every night before bed like a ritual. But something shifted. Slowly. Quietly. The kind of shift you don't notice until it's already done some damage. It started with the silence. Not the peaceful kind. The heavy kind. The kind that fills the air when someone's not really present anymore. She used to tell me every detail of her day, what Stacy wore to work, what someone said at the gym, but now, she'd just shrug. It was fine, she'd say, eyes glued to her phone, thumb flicking faster than I could keep up with. She started going out more, too. Girls' night, she'd call it, with friends I'd never met or suddenly didn't have time to come by anymore. She'd dress up, heels, red lipstick, perfume she hadn't worn since our honeymoon. When I'd ask where they were going, she'd give me vague answers, sometimes annoyed that I even cared. "Why are you being so weird?" she'd snap. "You never used to be jealous." She was right. I never used to be. But back then, I had no reason to be. I tried to shake it off. Maybe she just needed space. Maybe work was stressing her out. Maybe we were in a rut, and this was just a phase. We'd been through rough patches before, and we always made it out stronger. I told myself that love like ours didn't just vanish. That people don't just change, unless they have a reason. One night, she told me she was flying to Bali for a week. "Just a girl's trip," she said. "You know, some time to recharge. You're okay holding down the fort, right?" I smiled and nodded, even though my gut twisted like I'd just swallowed glass. The thing is, I believed her. I wanted to believe her so badly that I ignored the warning signs, her distant eyes, the late-night texts she never let me see, the way she flinched when I asked simple questions. But love makes you blind. And trust makes you stupid. What I didn't know then was that Bali wasn't a getaway with friends. It was a reunion, with the one man she never stopped loving. Her ex. The one who left her years ago for another city. The one she claimed she barely remembered. Yeah. That's where it really started. And next, I'll tell you exactly how I found out. I don't know what exactly pushed me to check her laptop that night. Maybe it was the way she clutched her phone at dinner like it was a lifeline. Or maybe it was how fast she changed the subject when I asked for photos from Bali. "We were too busy relaxing," she said with a tight smile, like even the words tasted fake. But something was off. And I couldn't ignore it anymore. She was in the shower. Her phone was locked. But her MacBook wasn't. Maybe she got too comfortable, too careless. Or maybe she really thought I'd never suspect a thing. At first, it was all normal. Work emails. Spotify tabs. Travel sites. But then I saw it, a folder on her desktop, minimized and renamed something harmless like Taxes_2023. Something about it just felt wrong. I clicked. Inside were screenshots. Messages. Photos. Hundreds of them. Some recent. Some going back almost a year. His name was Daniel. I recognized him immediately. He was the guy she dated back in high school, the artsy one who played guitar and always wore those stupid flannel shirts. She used to talk about him like he was ancient history. Just a crush, she'd said once. It was nothing serious. We were kids. But there he was. On her screen. In her inbox. On the beach in Bali, with her. There were pictures of them holding hands under the sunset, his arm wrapped around her waist, her lips pressed to his neck. There were videos. Selfies in bed. Her in lingerie I'd never seen before. And then the messages. God, the messages. I wish I could wake up next to you every morning. You still make me feel like I'm 17. Chris suspects nothing. He's so clueless. I can't even explain what that moment felt like. It was like my lungs collapsed. Like the floor opened up and swallowed me whole. My hands were shaking, my eyes burning, and my heart felt like it had just been stomped on by the one person I trusted the most. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a one-time slip or some blurred line emotional connection. This was an entire second life. Planned, hidden, romantic. She came out of the shower in a towel, humming to herself like nothing was wrong. I was still sitting there, laptop in front of me, frozen. She looked at me, and for a split second, I swear to God, I saw it in her eyes. That flicker of fear. Not guilt. Not remorse. Fear of getting caught. Why are you on my computer? She asked, voice already defensive. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. I just turned the screen toward her, showing her the open message thread. And that's when the mask started to crack. What happened next was a storm I'll never forget. The silence between us after I turned that laptop around felt like it could crush a building. She didn't say a word for a solid 10 seconds, just stared at the screen like maybe, if she concentrated hard enough, the messages would disappear. Maybe I wouldn't have read them. Maybe I didn't understand what I saw. But I did. Every goddamn word. I finally broke the silence. My voice was lower than usual, shaking. How long has this been going on? She crossed her arms, towel still clinging to her damp skin, her expression hardening in an instant. What the hell were you doing snooping through my laptop, Chris? That was her first instinct. Not guilt. Not an apology. Not even shock that I knew. Just defense. Like I was the one on trial. Are you serious right now? I asked, standing up. You think the problem is that I opened your laptop? Not that you're sleeping with your ex on the other side of the planet while I'm here believing your lies? Her eyes flashed. You don't know what you're talking about. I scoffed. Lauren, there are photos. There are videos. I saw everything. You were with him in Bali. You've been messaging him for months, maybe years. She turned away, brushing her hair back like it was just another normal evening. You're blowing this way out of proportion. It wasn't even like that. Then what was it like? I snapped. Explain it to me. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been cheating on me behind my back with a guy you swore you barely remembered. She sighed, like I was exhausting her. You and I haven't been working for a long time. You just never noticed. I needed to feel alive again, Chris. You don't talk to me. You barely even touch me anymore. That hit hard. Because yeah, we'd had our quiet spells. Work got busy. Life got in the way. But I never stopped loving her. I never even looked at another woman. And here she was, justifying an entire affair with some vague, half-assed therapy talk. She kept going. Daniel was there for me in ways you stopped being. We reconnected by accident, and it just happened. It just happened, I repeated, stunned. Like falling into a volcano. She started dressing, like this was just another fight. No panic. No tears. Just cold, clinical detachment. That's when I realized something even worse than the betrayal itself. She didn't regret it. Not a single part. I wasn't planning to tell you, she said casually, pulling a shirt over her head. We were figuring it out. I wasn't sure where things stood yet. Things? I repeated, stunned. You mean us? Your husband? Your marriage? She didn't respond. just zipped up her bag and said, "I think we should take some space." Space. I stared at her like I was seeing a stranger. The woman I married was gone. Replaced by someone who could lie, cheat, and then blame me for not noticing she was slipping away. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just watched her walk out of the house, out of our life, like it meant nothing. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. After she walked out that night, our house felt hollow. You know that eerie silence when the power goes out? That's what it felt like. But worse. Because this wasn't a glitch or an outage, this was real. My life, my marriage, my trust in the woman I thought I'd grow old with, all burned to ash in one evening. But the thing about betrayal? Once the veil lifts, everything starts to look suspicious. I couldn't sleep. So I kept digging. Her laptop stayed with me, she'd stormed off too quickly to remember it. And now, the very thing she used to hide her secrets became my window into the truth. I went back through her messages, her emails, her travel receipts. And man, the deeper I dug, the darker it got. That Bali trip? She didn't book it 2 weeks before like she told me, she'd been planning it for over a month. And she hadn't just gone with Daniel. They'd flown together, stayed in a private villa under a fake booking name, and even extended their stay without telling anyone, not even her supposed girlfriends, who were conveniently unreachable the entire week. But that wasn't the worst part. In her email drafts, I found messages she never sent. Half-written, filled with manipulations and excuses. She was practicing how to lie to me, drafting scripts like she was preparing for a courtroom drama. One of them read, "Chris doesn't get me anymore. I feel like I'm suffocating. If I told him the truth, he'd fall apart. He needs me to lie." I didn't know what stung more, her affair, or the fact that she thought I was weak enough to need her lies. And then I found the financial statements. She'd been draining our joint account in tiny, unnoticed transactions. 20 here. 45 there. Transferring them to a separate card. I thought we were just overspending, that inflation was chewing through our savings. But no, she was building her exit. And get this, she wasn't just cheating physically. She was emotionally gone too. She'd deleted her old journals from our shared cloud, but a backup had synced to my drive months ago. In them, she wrote about how she'd outgrown me, how our life was too small, how Daniel made her feel like she mattered again. She called our marriage a dead end. Me a routine she couldn't escape. You ever read something that makes your chest cave in? That was it. That was the moment I realized this wasn't some messy, emotional mistake. This was intentional. Premeditated. She didn't just cheat on me, she planned it. Nurtured it. Justified it. That night, I sat on our couch, our damn couch, scrolling through her betrayal like it was a Netflix documentary. Except I was the one bleeding in every scene, and she was the one holding the knife with a smile. But I wasn't just going to sit there and drown in it. You see, Lauren thought I was clueless. That I'd fall apart and beg her to come back. She underestimated me. And the next move? Was mine. You ever hit a point where you stop crying, stop yelling, stop asking why, and just switch? That numb silence where your mind gets clearer, colder. That's where I was. She underestimated me. She thought I'd break. That I'd curl up, cry into Duke's fur, and eventually forgive her because we had a history. But betrayal has a way of waking you up, real fast. The next morning, I made coffee in the same kitchen where we used to slow dance. I looked around our house, our photos, our shared memories. None of it felt real anymore. It was all theater. Props. Costumes. Rehearsed lines. But I didn't rage. I didn't throw her stuff out the window or torch her clothes. I needed to think smarter than that. If she was playing chess, I wasn't about to respond with checkers. I started with access. She still had our banking login, the smart home app, her name on the mortgage. Hell, she could probably still turn the thermostat down from wherever she was. So I started pulling control back. I moved our joint money into a secure individual account, nothing shady, just protection. Froze the credit cards. Changed the Wi-Fi passwords. Removed her from the Nest system and the bank alerts. Called a lawyer I'd done a website for years ago, one of the best divorce attorneys in the city, and scheduled a consult. Then, I gathered every single piece of evidence, the emails, the messages, the receipts, even voice memos she'd sent him about me, mocking me, laughing at how clueless I was. I organized everything into a drive, labeled it clearly, and emailed a backup to myself from an account she couldn't access. Then came the final card I held, the one she didn't see coming. Remember Daniel? Her great love from high school? Turns out, he had no idea she was still married. No idea she was lying to him, too. I created a burner profile on social media. Harmless looking. Just enough to get into his circle. I saw his recent posts from Bali, which included a few couple photos that didn't match Lauren's cropped Instagram stories. So I messaged him, calm, direct. Hey Daniel. Not sure if you know, but the woman you just vacationed with? She's married. To me. Here's proof. I sent a few screenshots. Not everything. Just enough. He didn't reply immediately. But he saw it. And later that day, he blocked me. I guess she lied to him too. That tracks. But I wasn't done. The night she came back, she walked through the door like she expected the house to be frozen in time. Like I hadn't moved a single muscle in her absence. Her suitcase rolled in like nothing had happened. She smelled like expensive perfume and ocean breeze and guilt. She opened her mouth to speak, but I held up my hand. Don't. Just sit. She looked around. Chris, No, I said. You don't talk. Not yet. You listen. I opened my laptop, turned it toward her just like before, but this time it wasn't a surprise. This time, it was curated. Clean. Chronological. I know everything, I said, voice steady. And by the way, so does Daniel. Her face went white. All that fake confidence, that dismissive arrogance, gone. Just pure panic. Let me explain, she whispered. You've done enough, I said. Now it's my turn. Lauren didn't cry. That's the part that stuck with me. She didn't burst into tears, fall to her knees, or beg for forgiveness like you'd expect someone to do when they get caught destroying everything. No, she sat there frozen, blinking like a glitching robot, trying to calculate her next move. I leaned back in my chair, hands folded. Calm. Controlled. She didn't know what to do with that. See, she'd been expecting the chaos, yelling, slamming doors, maybe even me breaking down. But I was past that stage. She was looking at a different version of me now. You lied, I said flatly. For months, maybe years. You made me think I was the problem. You let me question my sanity while you were out there making memories with him. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but I kept going. I know about the money. The fake bookings. The deleted messages. The backups. And yeah, I know you've been lying to Daniel too. Now she spoke. Wait, what did you say to him? I smiled. Don't worry. I didn't ruin your little love story. I just gave him the truth. What he does with it, that's up to him. And that's when she snapped. He doesn't deserve this, she blurted. This was between you and me. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was insane. You made it between three people the moment you booked a romantic villa with him while I was at home folding your laundry, Lauren. She stood up, pacing, suddenly frantic. You don't understand what I've been going through. You stopped being there for me, Chris. Emotionally. Physically. I felt like I was living with a ghost. Now the performance began. The crocodile tears. The shaky voice. She sat down again and reached across the table. Can we just talk? Like really talk. I was confused. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I pulled my hand away. You meant for it to go exactly this far. You just didn't expect to get caught. That shut her up. Then I laid out the paperwork. The printed copies of the messages. The bank withdrawals. The email from the lawyer outlining next steps. I slid them across the table like divorce cards at a poker game. You're going to leave, I said. Tonight. You'll get your things and you'll go. I've already arranged a temporary separation agreement. The lawyer will contact you this week. She stared at the documents like they were covered in blood. You're ending this? Just like that? I shrugged. No. You ended this. I'm just putting the period at the end of the sentence. Then I stood, walked to the door, opened it, and said the last words I ever spoke to her inside that house. You made your choice, Lauren. Now you get to live with it. She left that night. No suitcase. Just her purse and car keys. She didn't even look back. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I finally exhaled. The day after Lauren left, everything felt too quiet. Not peaceful quiet, just empty. The kind of silence that echoes. The house still smelled like her perfume. Her jacket still hung on the hook by the door. It was like she hadn't left completely. Like a ghost was still living with me. I thought the worst was over. That once she was gone, the healing could begin. But betrayal doesn't work like that. It doesn't end when they walk out the door. It lingers in every room they ever smiled in. It poisons your memories, one by one. Still, I kept moving. I told myself I had to. Duke, our dog, would sit by the door some mornings waiting for her to come home. I couldn't bear to watch him wait anymore, so I packed up the rest of her things, everything she left behind in her rush to escape the truth. Jewelry. Notebooks. Old photos. Even the toothbrush that still sat beside mine. I dumped it all into a box and sealed it shut. But then something strange happened. People started reaching out. It started with Sarah, one of Lauren's closest friends, or so I thought. She messaged me out of nowhere. Hey. I heard what happened. I just want you to know I always thought you deserved better. That opened the floodgates. Within days I got texts from her coworkers, her college roommate, even her cousin. Messages like, "She never deserved you. I always thought she acted shady. We figured something was going on in Bali." Turns out, the people around her weren't as blind as I was. They'd seen the cracks, felt the shift. Some even tried to warn her that what she was doing would blow up in her face. But she didn't care. She thought she was invincible. That I'd never find out, or if I did, I'd never leave. That arrogance ran deep. But it wasn't just Lauren's world that started crumbling. Daniel, her high school soulmate, finally unblocked me. He didn't say much, just, "I didn't know. I'm sorry, man." That one sentence said it all. She'd lied to him, too. Told him she was separated. In the process of leaving me, probably spun some version of the truth that made her the victim. But here's the twist, he dumped her. Yup. Less than a week after my message, he ended it. Cold. Told her to figure her life out before dragging someone else into her mess. I didn't need to hear it from her. Her sister confirmed it. Said Lauren had been a wreck ever since. Said she'd moved in temporarily with their mom 2 states away. Alone. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel a little satisfaction. Not out of cruelty. But because for the first time, the consequences were hers. But it wasn't over. Because in the middle of all this, while I was picking up the pieces and trying to feel like a human again, I found something else. A hidden note in the back of her journal. It was dated a year before Bali. And it said, "If I ever get the chance, I'll go back to him. I'll leave everything behind if it means I can feel that spark again." A full year. She'd been planning it that long. Dreaming of it. Writing about it like I was just a placeholder. And I'd been right there the whole time, thinking I was building a life with someone who'd already checked out. Finding that note in Lauren's journal was like reliving the betrayal all over again, but worse. Because this wasn't just cheating. This was premeditated. A quiet plan whispered into old notebooks while I was in the kitchen making her favorite coffee. While I was saving for our anniversary trip. While I was loving her the best I knew how. And she was writing about leaving me. The worst part? That spark she wrote about, that chance, she was waiting for, it wasn't even real. Daniel had bailed. Her fantasy crumbled. And now she was sitting in her childhood bedroom 2 states away, trying to figure out how she went from 2 men to 0 in less than a month. But I wasn't finished. Because Lauren didn't just lie to me. She played me like a fool in front of people who mattered to me. Her family. Our mutual friends. My colleagues. My own parents. She told them all kinds of stories, how we were struggling, how I was emotionally distant, how I didn't want kids, didn't support her dreams. Complete garbage. So I decided they deserved the truth. Not out of revenge. Out of clarity. So no one else would carry her narrative anymore. I sent one message. Just one. To those who know me and Lauren, I've stayed quiet out of respect. But I'm done protecting someone who burned our marriage to the ground and blamed me for the ashes. If you're curious what happened, I've attached screenshots. You can judge for yourself. I didn't name call. I didn't rant. I just dropped the facts, her texts, her photos with Daniel, the financial withdrawals, and her own journal entry about leaving me. It was a PDF file, clean and organized, like a case folder. Then I turned off my phone. For 48 hours. When I finally turned it back on, I had over 70 messages. Friends. Coworkers. Even people I hadn't spoken to in years. Most of them said the same thing. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. And then came the call, from her. She must have heard the fallout. I let it go to voicemail, and her message? How could you do this to me, Chris? This was our life, our business. You just broadcasted everything to the world? That's low. I never expected this from you. I just stared at the screen. How could I do this to her? She lit the match, tossed it, and walked away, and somehow I was supposed to cover the smoke? But here's the thing she never understood. I didn't do it to hurt her. I did it to stop hiding. To finally be free from the guilt she projected onto me. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt clear. Not happy. Not healed. But clear. And sometimes, that's where healing starts. But the universe wasn't done yet. Because the very next day, I got a knock on my door from someone I never expected to see again. And what he told me? That changed everything. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Quiet. Rain tapping on the windows like background noise in a sad movie. I was answering work emails, halfway through a stale sandwich, when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. No deliveries. No appointments. But Duke jumped up and ran to the door like he recognized whoever was outside. When I opened it, I froze. There stood a man, late 30s, tall, lean, kind of rugged. He looked familiar in that "I've seen you somewhere" kind of way, but I couldn't place him. Not right away. Chris? He asked. Yeah, I said cautiously. He extended his hand. I'm Aaron. I used to date Lauren years ago. Like before Daniel. Before you, actually. I didn't take his hand. Not yet. What are you doing here? I asked. He looked down, then back up at me with an expression I couldn't read, somewhere between guilt and urgency. I saw the stuff you posted. The screenshots. The journal entry. I wasn't even looking for it. It popped up in a group we're both in. It brought back a lot of unfinished business. Can I come in? I hesitated. Every instinct told me this was going to hurt. But I nodded. Yeah. Come in. We sat at the kitchen table, same one where I confronted Lauren not long ago. Aaron didn't waste time. Look, I don't know what kind of woman she turned into, but when we were together, she lied a lot. Like, compulsively. She told me stories about her parents that didn't match what they said. Claimed she had cancer once. Turned out it was a lie for attention. I stuck around for way too long. She always made me feel like I was the one losing my mind. I clenched my jaw. Yeah. That sounds familiar. Then he pulled out his phone and handed it to me. A voice recording. I started recording some of our conversations near the end. She'd gaslight the hell out of me, and I needed proof for myself. I forgot I even had this. I pressed play. And there it was, her voice. Calm. Confident. Cruel. You just don't get it, Aaron. Men are either useful or disposable. If they stop being useful, I stop playing nice. Another clip. I could cheat on someone and make them feel guilty. It's not hard. They always want to believe it's their fault. I paused it. My blood ran cold. That wasn't just someone who made a mistake. That was someone who knew exactly what she was doing. Who trained herself to manipulate. Who took pride in breaking people down and walking away clean. Aaron leaned back. I'm not here to stir drama. I'm here because I know how it feels. And I figured if you're trying to make sense of what happened to you, maybe this helps. It did. And it didn't. Because now the picture was clearer, but so much darker. Lauren wasn't a lost soul who made a dumb mistake on a beach in Bali. She was a seasoned liar. Someone who had done this before. Who had practiced. I thanked Aaron, and as he left, he said something I'll never forget. Be careful. She doesn't stay gone forever. She'll circle back when she thinks you've forgotten. Just don't be the guy who gives her a second chance. I watched his car disappear down the street. And I knew he was right. Lauren wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I didn't expect her to come back. Not after everything, the lies, the betrayal, the way she left without a word or a backward glance. But like Aaron warned me, Lauren has a way of sneaking back in when you least expect it. It was late one evening, about 2 months after she'd left. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through messages, when the doorbell rang. I hesitated before opening it. Part of me wanted to ignore it, pretend it wasn't happening. But curiosity won. There she was. Lauren. Dressed like she just walked out of a magazine, confident, composed, with that same unsettling smile I'd learned to hate. Hey, Chris, she said softly. No apologies, no tearful confessions, just a calm that made my skin crawl. What do you want? I asked, voice cold. She stepped inside, closing the door behind her. We need to talk. Really talk. No lies this time. I wanted to slam the door in her face, but I stayed silent. Something about the way she looked, like a cat ready to pounce, made me wary. She took a deep breath and started. I've been thinking a lot. About us. About everything. I was wrong to leave like that, but I wasn't ready to face the truth. I needed space, to figure out who I am. I laughed bitterly. You figured out who you are by cheating on me and running away? That's your truth? Her eyes flashed. I'm not here to fight. I came back because I want to fix this. If you'll let me. For a moment, the old part of me, the one that loved her unconditionally, wanted to believe her. But the part that had been burned 1,000 times screamed. Don't fall for it. Fix this? I said. Lauren, you shattered my world. You made your choice. Now it's on you to live with it. She stepped closer, voice dropping. I've changed. I'm ready to be honest, to rebuild. Please. I looked her in the eye, searching for any sign of truth, any flicker of remorse. Instead, I saw something else, a calculation. A plan. And I realized then, coming back was just the next move. But I wasn't the same man anymore. The Chris who once forgave too easily was gone. I said, I'm listening. But don't expect a clean slate. She smiled, a slow, dangerous smile, and said, I wouldn't want it any other way. The door closed behind her. And with that, the next chapter began. Lauren coming back wasn't the fresh start I hoped for. It was a minefield. One wrong step, one careless word, and everything would explode. The house that once felt like home now felt like a war zone. She stayed for a few days, and those days were a roller coaster. One minute she was soft, vulnerable, admitting how lost she'd been. The next, cold and distant, slipping back into the manipulative patterns I thought I'd left behind. I tried to hold on to the old memories, the laughter, the quiet nights, the promises we made. But every time I reached for that, she'd twist the knife a little more. "Chris," she said one evening, her voice shaking, "I never stopped loving you. I just didn't know how to be honest with myself." I wanted to believe her. I needed to. But the evidence was still fresh in my mind. The secret messages. The lies. The calculated moves. I looked her straight in the eyes. "How do I know you're not just saying what I want to hear?" She hesitated, then whispered, "You don't. But I'm willing to prove it." And that's when the unexpected happened. Lauren pulled out a folder, documents, receipts, therapy appointment confirmations, proof she'd started to get help. Counseling. Group sessions. A plan to fix what she broke. It was the first real crack in her armor. But the fight wasn't over. Old wounds reopened when I found out she'd kept secrets even from her therapist. Calls with Daniel. Messages she deleted but I recovered. Lies she told me about cutting contact, still broken. The trust was shattered, and I didn't know if it could be pieced back together. The hardest part? Deciding if the woman I loved was the same woman who kept hurting me, or if she was someone else entirely. There comes a point when love isn't enough anymore. When the weight of lies and broken promises crushes the good memories until they're almost impossible to see. That's where I was, standing at the edge, trying to decide whether to jump or hold on. Lauren was trying. I won't lie, her effort was there. Therapy sessions, apologies, moments of raw honesty. But the damage was deep, and my heart had become a battlefield. Every day was a struggle between hope and doubt. Between who she was before and who she'd become. I wanted to believe the woman who cried in my arms, who said, "I'm sorry," was real. But the other Lauren, the cold, dismissive liar, still haunted every room. I asked myself a question I never thought I'd ask. Can you forgive someone who didn't just hurt you but destroyed your sense of reality? One night, after another argument where she broke down and I broke apart, I sat alone, staring at the ceiling. Duke curled up beside me, sensing the storm in my soul. I realized the fight wasn't just about saving a marriage. It was about saving myself. Protecting what was left of my sanity and self-respect. So I made a choice. Not because I stopped loving her. Not because I didn't want to believe in us. But because I had to survive. I told Lauren, gently but firmly, that I couldn't keep living in this cycle. That maybe the best thing was to walk away and heal separately. Her face crumpled, tears spilling down like I'd stabbed her. But beneath the pain, I saw relief too. Maybe she needed that closure as much as I did. We agreed to start the process of separation officially. No drama, no blame, just truth. That night, as I lay in bed, I felt an unfamiliar calm. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't victory. It was peace. Sometimes, the bravest thing is letting go. Walking away was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was also the beginning of something I didn't see coming: healing. At first, the silence was deafening. No more Lauren's voice echoing through the house, no more fighting, no more lies. Just me, Duke, and the memories. It was brutal. There were days when I questioned everything, my worth, my judgment, if I'd ever trust again. But slowly, day by day, I started to rebuild. I leaned on friends who stayed. People who reminded me who I was before all this. I went to therapy myself, real therapy, not just the fix-her type. It helped me unpack the anger, the betrayal, the grief. I found new routines, early morning runs, reading, rediscovering passions I'd put on hold. It was like peeling back layers of pain to find the real me underneath. The hardest part? Forgiving myself. I blamed myself for not seeing the signs sooner, for letting it go on as long as it did. But healing taught me this: betrayal is never your fault. It's a choice the other person makes. And slowly, the pain lost its grip. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe Lauren and I will cross paths again. Maybe not. But I do know this: I'm stronger now. Wiser. And ready for whatever comes next. If you're out there, going through something similar, know this: you're not alone. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to be angry. But don't let someone else's betrayal define you. You'll get through it. After all the pain, the lies, the heartbreak, I'm left with a few hard truths that I want to share with anyone out there who's facing something similar. First, trust your instincts. I ignored the warning signs for too long because I wanted to believe the best. But that gut feeling? It's there for a reason. Don't silence it. Second, you deserve honesty. No one deserves to be lied to, manipulated, or made to question their own reality. If someone isn't willing to be real with you, they don't deserve your time. Third, protect yourself emotionally and legally. I know it sounds cold, but when betrayal hits, you need to have a plan. Secure your finances, document what you can, and get professional help. It's about survival, not revenge. Fourth, don't let shame trap you. So many people suffer in silence because they're embarrassed or scared. Betrayal is not your fault. Reach out. Talk to friends, therapists, or even strangers who've been there. Fifth, healing takes time. There's no magic fix or timeline. Be patient with yourself. Some days will be harder than others, and that's okay. And finally, love yourself fiercely. After someone breaks your trust, it's easy to doubt your worth. But you are worthy of respect, kindness, and real love. Lauren's betrayal changed my life forever. But it didn't break me. It taught me how strong I could be, how much I could endure, and how important it is to stand up for myself. If you're watching this and feeling lost, hang on. You're going to make it through. And when you do, you'll come out stronger than you ever imagined. If you've stuck with me this far, thank you. This story isn't just mine, it belongs to everyone who's ever loved, lost, and been betrayed. It's a raw, painful truth about how trust can shatter in an instant, and how rebuilding takes everything you've got. I won't pretend it's easy. I won't sugarcoat the loneliness, or the anger, or the nights when you question everything about yourself. But I will tell you this: there's life after betrayal. There's hope. I learned that some people don't change, no matter how much you want them to. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away, not just from a person, but from the idea of who you thought they were. But here's the kicker: the pain doesn't define you. Your response does. You can rise from the ashes stronger, wiser, and more yourself than ever before. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been betrayed? How did you cope? Did you fight to save the relationship, or did you walk away? What advice would you give to someone going through this right now? Drop your story in the comments. Your voice might be the lifeline someone else needs. And if you found this story real, raw, and worth your time, hit that subscribe button. Because I'm here to share more stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and ultimately, survival. Stories that remind us we're not alone. Remember, healing starts when we stop hiding the truth. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe now, because the next story might just be the one that changes everything for you. Speech balloon, don't be shy. Comment below and share your truth. This community is here for you.